I didn't realize I'd been cropped out of my own family until my cousin posted the photo. It was a sunny afternoon, one of those forced happy family lunches at a lakeside restaurant that I paid for like usual. The caption read, "Love my people. Couldn't ask for a better support system." Everyone was there. My mom, dad, my sister Anna, her husband, their daughter Lily, and my aunt and uncle. I remembered the exact moment the photo was taken. I was standing right next to Anna, but in the post, I was gone. At first I thought it was a mistake, maybe a filter glitch. Maybe she posted the wrong version. So I messaged my cousin and asked, "Hey, weird Q, was there another version of that family pic? I thought I was in it." She didn't reply, but 5 minutes later, the post disappeared. And then, 5 more minutes after that, a new version appeared with the same exact caption. Same lighting, same everyone. Still no me. That was the moment I realized I had finally become what they always treated me like. An outsider. You wouldn't know it from the way I used to bend myself in half for them. I'm the oldest daughter, the fixer, the one who stayed when Dad had his second heart attack and Anna couldn't handle the hospital, the one who skipped a work conference to pick Lily up when my sister was too tired, the one who paid for Mom's medication when insurance lapsed, the one who co-signed a loan for Anna's car when her credit was shot from too much online shopping. The same car she used to drive right past my place without so much as a honk. I've been the family's human safety net for over 15 years. I never expected a parade or a thank you card. But being erased? Being literally removed from a moment I paid for? That gutted me. I asked Anna about it. Just sent a text, calm as I could manage. "Hey, saw the pic. Did I blink or something?" She left me on read. Then the next day, she sent a message. Just 6 words. "You're making everything about yourself." It was like ice water down my back. I didn't respond. I didn't know how to. I thought about everything I had done quietly, always quietly, to make their lives easier. The rent I floated when Anna lost her job. The groceries I dropped off without asking. The tutoring I paid for when Lily struggled in school. And the one time I asked for a little acknowledgement, I became the villain. A week later, Mom called. Not to check on me. Not to ask why I'd been quiet. She needed help with the electric bill. Again, I paused. For the first time, I didn't rush to say yes. I asked, "What happened to the money I sent last month?" Silence. Then a sharp inhale. "I guess we'll ask Anna next time," she snapped. She always picks up. That was a lie. Anna hadn't paid a bill in years. But I didn't argue. I just said, "Okay," and hung up. The next day, Anna posted a story of Lily at a theme park. Front row, new stroller, matching mother-daughter t-shirts. ## blessed. I realized I was funding their fun while skipping my own dental cleanings to make ends meet. It had been building for years, but that was the day it cracked. That was the day I realized they didn't love me, they loved what I gave them. And once I stopped giving, I disappeared. But I wasn't going to disappear quietly. They wanted me invisible? Fine. But I was going to take every ounce of my support with me. And I was going to make sure they felt it. I didn't make a scene. I didn't write a dramatic goodbye post or send a lengthy message telling them how they hurt me. I just stopped. I stopped sending money. I stopped answering calls. I stopped saying yes out of muscle memory. At first, they didn't notice. Or maybe they noticed, but assumed I was going through a mood. I've had moods before, those little pockets of exhaustion after picking up the weight of everyone else's chaos. I'd retreat for a week, maybe 2, and by the time I returned, everything would be exactly the same. No one would ask where I'd been. No one would say thank you for coming back. But this time was different, because this time I didn't come back. 3 weeks after the family photo incident, Anna called. I almost didn't pick up. But something in me wanted to hear her voice to confirm the resentment I'd spent years swallowing was real, not imagined. "Hey," she said, too casually. "Mom said you've been acting weird?" I could hear Lily in the background, asking for a snack. I imagined Anna sitting on her couch in those sweats I bought her last Christmas, scrolling through her phone while waiting for someone else to save her again. "I'm fine," I said. "Just busy." She scoffed. "Too busy for your family?" That word, it triggered something in me. The way they weaponized family like a club to the head. As if it wasn't the same family that erased me from their lives the moment I stopped being convenient. "I don't think I'm the one who forgot about family," I said quietly. There was a pause. Then her tone sharpened. If this is about that stupid photo, it's not just about the photo. Oh my God, she snapped. You are so dramatic. You always want to be the victim. That was Rich. Me? The victim? After years of silently catching their dropped responsibilities like a damn reflex? I have to go, I said. She didn't stop me. The silence that followed should have felt peaceful, but instead it was thick with the weight of invisible chains breaking. I started budgeting for myself. I canceled the auto payments to Mom's utilities. I stopped sending extra to Anna just until she gets her bonus. I even told the bank to remove me as a co-signer on her car loan. That one took some time and a headache of paperwork, but I did it. I began to feel like a person again, until the retaliation began. It started subtly. A voicemail from Mom, laced with passive aggression. Don't worry about me. I'll figure out how to pay for heat this month. I know you have better things to spend on. Then came the group chat messages, little jabs hidden under fake concern. Anna, wish we could have gone to Lily's recital, but not everyone has the luxury of dropping responsibilities like you. Mom, I miss when our family cared about each other. Aunt Janet even chimed in at one point. We all go through things, but punishing your mother isn't the answer. I didn't reply to a single one. Not because I didn't have things to say, but because I finally realized that saying them wouldn't change anything. They didn't want to understand. They just wanted me to submit again. Then it escalated. I came home one evening to find my front door slightly ajar. Nothing was stolen, but everything had been touched. Mail scattered on the floor, kitchen lights on. My laptop open on the counter on my banking page. I froze. The only people who knew my alarm code were family. I had shared it with Anna a year ago when she claimed she needed a break and asked to crash at my place. She stayed for a week, complained about the mattress, and left her dirty laundry behind like a souvenir. I changed the locks that night, installed security cameras the next day, and filed a report not because I thought the police would do anything, but because I needed a paper trail. Something to hold in my hands in case things went too far. It didn't stop them. A week later, I got an email from my boss. Anonymous complaint sent to HR accused me of embezzling company funds and exploiting a nonprofit for personal gain. It was laughable, obviously fake. I worked in finance for a clean energy nonprofit, and every cent was monitored. HR dismissed it quickly, but the sting remained. The fact that someone, likely blood-related, tried to destroy the one part of my life they didn't control. That was when the guilt calls stopped. They moved on to full-scale sabotage. Lies started spreading in the extended family. That I'd stolen money from Mom. That I had abandoned her while she was sick. That I'd turned my back on Lily during a mental health crisis. Meanwhile, Lily was fine, happy. Even she messaged me secretly on Instagram to say she missed me, that she didn't believe what her mom was saying. I told her I loved her, but I didn't reach out again. She didn't deserve to be caught in the crossfire. One night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the sound of wind outside, feeling like I'd been hollowed out. Was I really the villain? Had I become so cold that I couldn't even check in on my own mother? But then I remembered the cropped photo, the sarcasm, the theft, the smear campaign, the way they drained me until there was nothing left, and then called me selfish for needing something back. I wasn't the villain. I was just no longer the victim, and I was done playing fair. If they wanted to treat me like the enemy, then they were about to learn what I was capable of when I finally chose myself. The breaking point didn't come in a scream or a fight. It came in an email, a paper-thin PDF attachment that somehow weighed more than anything I'd carried for the past 10 years. It was from a credit agency, something about a flagged account linked to my name. I almost deleted it, assuming it was spam, but the logo looked legit. Inside was a credit application I'd apparently submitted for a home remodel loan. Except I hadn't. Anna had. She used my name, my social security number, and even my old work ID back when I was naive enough to share documents with her. When she said she was helping me apply for a business grant, the signature wasn't mine, not even close, but the bank hadn't flagged it. And now I was technically listed as the co-signer on a $25,000 loan for kitchen and bathroom upgrades. The upgrades I'd seen in the background of her Instagram stories. The new granite countertops. The clawfoot tub, she captioned #selfcare. She stole my identity. She committed fraud. And I had proof. I stared at the screen for hours, rage boiling just under my skin like lava about to breach the surface. Every sacrifice I had made, every kindness, every time I told myself family comes first, I had been feeding a parasite, and now it was trying to ruin me. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I started planning, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. And that's when Jess called. Jess is my cousin, technically Anna's cousin too, but we'd always been more like ghost siblings. Jess moved away in her 20s after what she called too many Christmases filled with screaming and control-freak drama. We drifted apart over the years, life pulling us in different directions. But she must have seen the fallout on social media, because her name lit up my phone like a spark in the dark. I answered with a flat, "Hey, I heard what they're saying," she said. "Want to talk about it?" And just like that, the dam cracked. I told her everything, how I was being iced out, how they manipulated every situation, how they tried to tank my job, break into my house, steal my name and my credit. She didn't sound surprised, just angry. "That family eats its own," Jess said. "They almost got me too." Apparently, before she left town years ago, Aunt Janet had tried to get Jess to sign over her portion of their grandmother's estate under the guise of streamlining the paperwork. Jess refused, moved out, and went no contact. It took her years to recover. "I've kept receipts," she added, literal ones, in case they ever pulled this crap again. It turns out Jess had kept screenshots, emails, and even old voice recordings of phone calls with Aunt Janet and Anna, proof of manipulation, financial schemes, and a long trail of familial abuse buried behind passive-aggressive smiles and Sunday brunches. We shared everything we had with each other, like war generals comparing battle maps. I sent her the forged loan document. She sent back a scan of an old email Anna once forwarded, one that contained my full SSN and work ID, with the subject line, "In case we need this again." I felt sick, but I also felt powerful, because now it wasn't just my word against theirs. It was evidence. We made a list, a real list, not just of what they'd done, but of what they stood to lose: the lies, the tax fraud, the informal gifts Mom collected every year from random relatives, which Jess suspected were actually stolen inheritances. The secret college fund that was supposed to be for Lily, but Jess found a trail of purchases linked to Anna's Amazon account: designer bags, a Peloton bike, expensive skincare. We weren't just dealing with emotional abuse, we were dealing with thieves. But I wanted more than justice. I wanted precision. If I was going to go scorched earth, I wanted to be surgical. Jess suggested starting small. Shake the tree, see what falls. So I made one phone call. "To the bank holding the fraudulent loan," I said, as calmly as I could. "I'd like to dispute this account. I have reason to believe it was opened using forged documentation." The rep asked a few security questions, which I answered with robotic clarity. They froze the account that afternoon. Anna called me 3 hours later. Her voice was sugar-sweet, like it always was when she was trying to manipulate me. "Hey, just wanted to check in. I feel like we haven't really talked." I didn't take the bait. "You opened a loan in my name, Anna." She went quiet. Not the usual faux shocked gasp, actual silence. The kind of silence that confirms guilt louder than any scream. "I don't know what you're talking about," she finally said. "I have the paperwork, the IP address, even the forwarding email you used." Still silence. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for a full minute. No follow-up, no apology. Just the silence of a coward. Jess was already 3 steps ahead. She drafted a summary file of everything we'd uncovered, and was working with an attorney friend to explore our options: civil charges, credit fraud filings, even tax evasion tips we could anonymously send to the IRS. But I had my own moves to make. I blocked every single family member from my phone. Then I sent one final message in the group chat. No explanations, no drama, just a link to a secure Google Drive folder. Inside every piece of evidence we had, I wrote one line underneath: "Don't ever speak to me again." They didn't reply. But over the next few days, things started unraveling faster than we expected. Aunt Janet deleted her Facebook account. Mom's pastor resigned from her church after someone just sent an anonymous tip about financial mismanagement in her community group. Anna's husband moved out. Apparently, the loan wasn't the only thing she had kept secret. Jess and I found out she'd been skimming money from Lily's fundraiser at school, transferring it into her personal PayPal. She didn't just dig her own grave. She handed me the shovel, and I wasn't done yet, because I still had the one thing they feared more than exposure: indifference. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to cut them out so cleanly, it would feel like amputation. Because I didn't need closure, I needed freedom. I always thought revenge would feel loud, explosive, like glass shattering or doors slamming shut. But it didn't. It felt quiet. Quiet like turning off the faucet after years of letting it drip. Quiet like deleting a contact without hesitation. Quiet like watching a house burn down from across the street and realizing you don't feel the urge to run in. It started with Anna. The loan was officially marked as fraudulent by the bank, thanks to Jess's attorney friend walking me through the dispute process. Once the account was flagged, it triggered an automatic review across Anna's entire credit history. Turns out, she'd been using variations of my information for years, just small things at first. Emergency contacts, backup verifications, the little details most people overlook. But once her record got reviewed and her flagged activity hit a certain threshold, the bank reported her to the police. She wasn't arrested, at least not right away, but her accounts were frozen. Her mommy influencer side hustle tanked overnight. No more luxury hauls. No more gifted partnerships. She posted a vague Instagram story white text on black background, the digital sign of a personal apocalypse. Taking a break. Mental health matters. Yeah, so does consent. And identity theft. Then came Mom. She didn't go quietly. When she realized her utility bills were overdue and her bank account was short because I'd finally pulled my name off everything she called me. I didn't answer, so she called from a different number. This time I picked up. I don't know why. Maybe to hear the meltdown. Maybe because some part of me still needed to hear her admit it. "You're letting your own mother freeze in her house?" she snapped. "No, hello. I'm letting a grown woman pay her own bills," I said flatly. "I gave you life. And I gave you groceries, rent, medications, and silence. For 20 years, we're even. You think you're better than us now?" she hissed. "With your job and your little condo and your boundaries?" "No," I said, my voice like glass. "I think I'm finally done drowning in guilt for not letting you bury me alive." Then I hung up, blocked her. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel that rush of anxiety. No heat in my chest. No trembling hands. Just peace. But the real showstopper came 2 days later, when Jess's IRS tip finally made impact. Apparently, Aunt Janet had been funneling family gift money through a separate business account she never reported. It was a whole web of financial manipulation, inheritances that never made it to intended recipients. Checks lost in the mail, funds from our grandmother's estate that mysteriously disappeared. Now she was being audited. Her husband filed for separation that same week. Jess sent me a screenshot of Aunt Janet's prayer request post in a local church Facebook group. "Please pray for strength in this time of unjust persecution." Persecution, huh? Funny how truth feels like persecution when you're not used to accountability. But the moment that almost made me cry, actually cry, was Lily. She emailed me. Not a DM, not a story reply. A real email. She said she knew about the money. That she overheard Anna yelling at her husband about the loan being frozen, and that she finally realized her mom had been lying to her for years. "I didn't believe her when she said you didn't care. I always knew you did. You were the only adult in my life who saw me." I read that line over and over again. I hadn't replied. Not yet. Not because I didn't want to, but because I needed time to figure out what kind of relationship, if any, I could have with someone still inside that orbit, still attached to the web I had just escaped. And then came the final straw. I got an invitation, not a wedding, not a birthday, an intervention. They sent me a group email: Mom, Anna, Aunt Janet, even a few extended cousins who hadn't spoken to me in years. Subject line: Family Healing Circle. I almost laughed out loud. They wanted to restore unity. They wanted to find grace. They wanted me to sit down in a rented church basement, and let them perform the emotional equivalent of a hostage negotiation, where I apologize for finally saying no, and they pretend to forgive me for not being a doormat. I didn't reply, but Jess did. From her personal email, she sent back a link, a Dropbox folder containing every document we had, every receipt, every email, every screenshot of manipulation, fraud, and abuse. She titled it, "The Healing You Asked For." Then she ended the message with one line, "She doesn't owe you closure, just consequences." That was when the house of cards collapsed. The group chat went silent. Mom deleted her account. Anna posted a cryptic TikTok about learning to let go of toxic people. The irony nearly killed me. Aunt Janet unfriended Jess on every platform. And me? I went for a walk, just a simple walk around the block. The air smelled like summer was finally ending. The leaves were turning. Everything felt like a metaphor. I passed by the bakery I used to window shop but never go into because I always told myself I needed to save the money just in case. Anna needed help again. This time, I walked in. I bought myself a cupcake. Lemon poppy seed. My favorite. No reason, no celebration. Just because I could. Just because I deserved to. When I got home, I turned off my phone, put it in a drawer. Then I sat on the couch, pulled my knees up under me, and took a bite. It was sweet, tart, bright. The flavor of freedom. I used to think peace would be loud. I pictured it like some triumphant moment standing on a mountain, arms raised in victory, the toxic voices behind me silenced once and for all. But real peace? It's quiet. It's waking up and not checking your phone in a panic. It's sitting in a room and not rehearsing conversations in your head before they happen. It's silence, not because you're being ignored, but because no one is demanding anything from you anymore. It took me a while to get used to that silence. At first, it felt like an absence, like something was missing. But slowly, I realized it wasn't something missing. It was everything toxic that had finally been removed. Anna tried to come back. Of course she did. About a month after Jess dropped the bomb folder and the family group chat went dead, Anna showed up at my building. She didn't even make it to the buzzer. My security cameras caught her standing outside the gate in yoga pants and sunglasses, holding what looked like a Starbucks cup and a weirdly forced smile. She didn't ring. She just waited. I didn't go down. She sent a single text, "Can we talk? Please?" I didn't reply, not out of pettiness, but because the woman standing at my gate wasn't my sister. She was the version of her that existed when she needed something. The performative, apologetic one. The "I'm sorry you feel that way" version. The one that came with strings so thin you didn't see them until they wrapped around your throat. I watched her from my window for 20 minutes until she finally gave up and left. 2 days later, Mom called, not to apologize, not really, just to test the waters. Her voice was soft, rehearsed. The way she used to talk to church friends when trying to borrow something. "We've all said things we didn't mean," she began. "Family fights are natural, but we're still family. We still love you." I almost believed her. That's the thing about emotional manipulation. It doesn't always come in screams. Sometimes it comes wrapped in sentimentality, in soft-spoken guilt. But I didn't flinch. "You don't love me," I said calmly. "You love what I do for you. And when I stopped doing it, you called me selfish." "That's not fair," she whispered. "It's not fair that I was paying your light bill while you were lying about me to my coworkers." She got quiet. Then came the sigh. That classic sigh. The one she used when she was the victim of someone finally drawing a boundary. It used to gut me. Used to make me fold, apologize, rush to fix whatever I'd broken. But this time, it didn't move me at all. I ended the call with a simple, "Please don't contact me again unless it's through a lawyer." She didn't call again. Some people asked if I regretted it cutting off my whole family, especially when holidays rolled around and I wasn't invited anywhere, when birthdays passed with no text, when Facebook memories reminded me of birthdays I paid for, vacations I funded, smiles I helped fake. But no, I didn't regret it. Grief isn't always about death. Sometimes you grieve the family you thought you had, the version of them you built in your head, the one you clung to every time they let you down, letting go of that version of them that hurt. But holding on to the truth, that saved me. I started doing small things for myself. Things the first used to call luxuries that were really just basic care. I booked a therapy session, then a massage. I started journaling again, not for anyone else, not to vent, just to remember who I was before I was edited out of my own story. I redecorated my apartment, painted the walls something bright, replaced the curtains. Anna said made the place look too loud, bought the good bed sheets, the expensive olive oil, lit candles for no reason at all. I even started a savings account labeled Joy Fund. Every month, I put in a little extra. Not for emergencies, not for family drama, just for me, for joy, for a weekend trip, a class, a stupid pair of shoes I probably didn't need but wanted anyway. I wasn't healing because someone apologized. I was healing because I stopped waiting for them to. Lily messaged me again. This time I replied. I told her I loved her, that I wasn't mad at her, that she had a right to question what she'd been taught, and I'd be here when and if she wanted a relationship on her own terms. She responded with a crying emoji, then said, "You were always the adult I trusted." That line, it broke me in the best way. Not out of sadness, but out of clarity, because she saw me. Even if no one else in that family ever did. I don't know what kind of future I'll have with her, but it'll be one I build slowly, with walls made of boundaries and respect, not obligation and guilt. And if there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that love without respect is just manipulation in a prettier outfit. Now, I breathe deeper. I laugh louder. My phone doesn't buzz with demands. My bank account doesn't feel like a communal donation box. And my mind? It's quiet. So gloriously quiet. They still call me selfish, I'm sure. Probably say I'm bitter, cold, ungrateful. But none of them are in my life anymore. And for the first time in years, I finally feel like I can breathe. And that's enough. Story 2. My parents told me they weren't made of money when I begged them for assistance with my medical costs. I stopped giving them money for their travels after they got my brother a brand new automobile a month later. They called a year later. Help is needed to book our cruise. No hesitancy, no shame. I gave them the precise information they need. I never imagined that I would need to ask my parents for assistance. I'd always been self-sufficient. I never begged for anything from them, worked hard, and paid my own bills. I was the responsible child even as a young youngster. I worked part-time jobs, had outstanding grades, and never caused trouble. Adam, my brother, was the complete opposite, requiring assistance constantly, always finding themselves in a financial bind, always depending on our parents to save him. And they did every time. I never despised it, though. Not at all. I assumed that was the way things were. They assisted Adam more since he needed more. I didn't need it. I was getting by just fine on my own. Then I became ill. It was severe, but I don't want to get into specifics. It is not life-threatening right away, but it might get serious if left untreated. The cost of the procedure was quite high, and insurance did not cover it. I first believed I could do it by myself, despite my best efforts to make the most of my funds. Expenses continued to mount. Visits from a medication specialist. Methods. I was drowning regardless of my budget. I had no choice but to seek for aid, even if I didn't want to. I thus gave my folks a call one evening. As usual, Mom responded with tears in her eyes. "Rachel, my dear, you haven't phoned in a long time. How is work going?" I clutched my phone and gulped. "In fact, I wanted to discuss something significant with you." "Oh," I inhaled. "I've been juggling some health issues. The bills were really painful. Would it be possible for you to assist me in some way?" Quiet. Then a little chuckle. "We're not made of money, Rachel, honey." My stomach dropped. "Yes, I simply do. You're an adult, my dear." She cut me off. "These things are meant to be handled by you alone." I tightened my jaw. "I have, but this isn't the same. This is no little outlay of funds. I'm having trouble." Mom sighed, as if she was worn out by this discussion. "We put a lot of effort into getting here, Rachel. We are not in a position to simply distribute funds." I parted my lips and then shut them. I was at a loss for words. It was the first time I had ever asked them for money, not for anything, not for rent, nor for college. And now they were behaving as though I was being irrational when I actually needed them. "All right," I answered sternly. "I get it." Her voice was one of relief. "Excellent. I assumed you would handle this with maturity. Before I could say something I would later regret, I hung up. I woke up that night and stared at the ceiling while mentally reliving the exchange. I didn't request a handout. I was not being careless. I was ill. All I needed was a little assistance. However, they had immediately shut me down. It's okay, I reassured myself. I'll work it out myself. And I did. I took on freelance work in addition to my normal job, worked extra, and reduced everything I could. It was draining. It was horrible. However, I succeeded. A month later, I learned that they had purchased a brand new vehicle for Adam. It's not a cheap automobile or a secondhand car. A brand new SUV that is loaded. Adam boasted about it in the family group chat, which is how I only found out. Adam got my new car at last. I was hooked up by my parents. My pulse was racing as I gazed at my phone. They weren't composed of cash. They had thousands to spend on a brand new automobile for Adam, but they couldn't afford to help me while I was ill. I was unable to stop myself. I immediately phoned my mother. After a few rings, she responded in a soft, indifferent voice. "What a surprise, Rachel. Have you seen the new automobile your brother got?" I tightened my jaw. Yes. I saw that she said he truly needed it without even thinking. His ancient automobile was always breaking down. He was no longer allowed to drive that piece of garbage. I had trembling hands. "So, let me clarify this. You had enough money to purchase Adam a new automobile, but not enough to help me with my medical problems," she replied, pausing in that patronizing tone she usually employed when she felt I was being irrational. "It's not the same thing, Rachel." I laughed a little, without humor. "How is it different? Since you're doing well now." "Simply," she said, "you managed it. You made it through it." Adam also required a trustworthy vehicle. Something inside of me felt, "Hurry up." To pay those bills, I had been killing myself for months. I had not. I pushed myself to the limit of my endurance. All because they claimed they were unable to provide assistance. Moreover, it had never been accurate. They simply didn't give a damn. I let out a slow breath. "What do you know? I'm done. So I hope you enjoy your new family vehicle." She let out a loud sigh. "Don't be like that, Rachel. The first mean it," I interrupted. "You obviously have money when it helps you, but I will no longer participate." She laughed. "What is the intended meaning of that?" I gave a chilly smile. "It implies that you will now be able to finance your own trips." Quiet. Then her voice took on a hint of anger. "That's unfair, Rachel." I ended the call. I was done for the first time in my life. For years, I had been paying them without question. Since they had helped me grow up, I felt like I was giving back to them. But now I understood the reality. My money was never needed by them. They simply anticipated it. I no longer sent them any money. I didn't hear much from them at first. A few passive-aggressive texts. The occasional guilt trip, but I ignored it. Then a year later, my phone buzzed with a call from my mom. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. I picked up. "Hello, Rachel. Hello?" she said brightly, like we were best friends. "It's been so long. How are you?" I narrowed my eyes. "I'm fine," she laughed. "Oh, excellent. Listen, your dad and I are looking at cruises for next summer, and I wanted to see if you could help us plan something pleasant." I nearly dropped my phone. I felt my blood pressure increase as I tightened my jaw. They had no shame, no hesitation. They truly expected I would just go back to paying their lifestyle, like nothing had happened. I took a deep breath, my fingers clenching on my phone. They expected me to say yes. They expected me to slide back into my previous position. But this time, I had something to say. I had something to say. But for a few long, astonished seconds, I just sat there, grasping my phone, trying to understand what I had just heard. They had spent a year ignoring me, a year acting like nothing had occurred. A year of no apologies, no acknowledgement, no attempt to mend what they had done. And now, out of nowhere, they were phoning me not to check on me, not to make things right, but to beg for money for a vacation. I let out a slow breath. I was surprised by how chilly my voice sounded. "Are you serious?" As if I had just said something amusing, Mom burst out laughing. "Of course we need some assistance choosing the best." "One, my love, you're really skilled at this type of stuff, I know that." I tightened my jaw. "Very skilled at this type of work." She was referring to the fact that I had always paid for things. I had unquestioningly handed them money for years. I had always offered to help whenever they were going on vacation since I believed that was what nice daughters did. However, they weren't made of money when I needed them. My patience snapped, and I let out a harsh sigh. "You must be joking with me." A brief hush fell. Then Mom's voice became piercing. "Please pardon me." I straightened my posture. "When I was ill, I pleaded with you for assistance. You claimed to be wealthy while I was drowning in medical costs." Her annoyance was audible in her voice. "That was a long time ago, Rachel." "A year," I said. "When I was trying to pay for treatment a year ago, you informed me you couldn't spare $1 to assist. You're phoning me now, however, assuming I'll cover the cost of your opulent voyage." She let out a loud sigh. "That isn't the case." "Oh, really?" I lost my temper. "What is it like then?" "From my vantage point, it appears like you didn't give a damn about me unless I was giving you cash." Her tone became stern. "Rachel, we are your parents. Considering all that we have done for you, you ought to desire to assist us." I laughed resentfully. "All that you have done for me." "Indeed." She lost her temper. "You were reared by us. We provided for all of your needs as a child. We now look out for one another as grown-ups. Family is like that." My stomach turned over. We look out for one another. If it hadn't been so offensive, that might have been humorous. I had never been looked after by them. Not when it was truly important. I had looked after them, and I had looked after myself. With trembling palms, I took a deep breath. "There's a reason I stopped sending you money, Mom." She laughed. "Oh." We took note. "Excellent. I meant it when I snapped. I will not give you another cent. When you got Adam a brand new automobile, you made it obvious who was important. I was struggling to pay for medical care at the time. Do you now believe that I will simply act as though it never occurred?" Quiet. Then she became cold. "I understand how things are." I waited with my jaw gritted. She responded in a disgusted tone. "You've changed, Rachel. You were such a nice daughter once." Something snapped within of me. I got up and paced the room. "No, Mother. I was a doormat once. I was once your personal ATM, and you were so accustomed to taking advantage of me that you didn't even consider abandoning me to struggle when I most needed you." A quick intake of breath caught my ear. She hung up after that. For a second, my heart was racing as I gazed at my phone. Stunned, I stood there. I thought there would be more fighting, additional manipulation. I had prepared myself for numerous texts and guilt trips. However, she had just hung up, and since I knew her, that was somehow worse. This was not the end of it. And I was correct. The text began the next day. "You're being silly, Mom. Dad, I don't know why you're behaving this way. I'm not sure what's bothering you, Rachel, but we're your parents. Mom, you deserve some respect from us. All right, if you are going to act selfishly, I will just inform Adam about your cruelty. Perhaps he will remind you of the proper behavior expected of family." I gave an eye roll. "Adam, you're exactly right." Almost immediately, he sent Adam a message. "Really, Rachel?" Mom is in tears. "You're not willing to assist them," she said. My fist tightened. She was weeping, of course. She had fabricated the narrative, of course. She hadn't explained to Adam why I had interrupted them. She had just portrayed herself as the helpless, devoted mother who was unable to see why her egotistical daughter had abruptly left her. Me? Did she also tell you that they refused to help me when I was ill, and that they weren't wealthy, then went back and purchased a brand new vehicle for you? She hadn't revealed that bit, of course, so there was no answer. With a knot in my gut, I put my phone down and locked it. I had ceased communicating with them for just this reason. They were not ashamed, no regret, unable to accept responsibility for their actions. They showed no concern for me. All that mattered to them was what I could do for them. And for the following 3 days, I had finally given up playing their game. I didn't pay attention to their messages. I had the hope that they may give up. Instead, they increased and intensified the calls. The texts continued to arrive. After that, they began phoning other people. And Susan. "I'm not sure what's going on, Rachel, but your mother phoned me crying. You won't even talk to her," she says. "What's going on? Uncle Steve?" "Rachel, your folks are having a hard time. Do you really want to treat them this way?" "Grandma, even though they're not flawless, your parents are still your parents, sweetie. They adore you." I felt like screaming. I was aware that my parents were fabricating a dramatic story in which I was the ungrateful, harsh daughter, who refused to look after my poor, defenseless parents. I thought about ignoring them, but then I understood that until I forced them to stop, they wouldn't. So, I sent a last message to everyone in the family group chat. Because parents are sharing their version of events with everyone. Allow me to correct the record. When I was having trouble paying for medical care, I pleaded with them for assistance. I was informed that they were not wealthy, then purchased a brand new vehicle for Adam. They expect me to cover the cost of their cruise after ignoring me for a year. No, I said. Go ahead and block me if you believe that I am selfish. I sent it. After that, I switched off my phone. Give them that to sit with. I had finished their games. Exhaling and turning off my phone. I hoped that would be the last of it. However, my parents and others don't just accept things. They exert pressure. They get more intense. They won't relinquish power. My phone was blowing up the next morning as expected. I almost rolled my eyes as I flipped through my texts. Mom, how could you humiliate us in that way, Rachel? You just embarrassed your own family in front of everyone, Dad. Adam, I hope you feel proud of yourself. What's wrong with you? You are aware of the amount of worry you have caused them. Then more family members joined in. I'm not sure what transpired between you and your parents, Aunt Susan, but it wasn't necessary to share private information in the family conversation. Uncle Joe, even though families aren't ideal, you shouldn't break up with them for something as trivial as money. I raised your mother better than this, Grandma, my love. It must be a miscommunication. Simply speak with her. I exhaled deeply and slowly. A miscommunication. They constantly referred to it as that whenever my parents committed a terrible act. A miscommunication. A little error. They hadn't been wrong. They had decided on something. They had decided to give everything to Adam and let me suffer. Before they needed something, they had decided to ignore me for a year. They had decided to make me the bad guy when I at last asserted my rights. Furthermore, I wasn't going to reverse things because certain family members didn't appreciate the facts. I choose to disregard them. I left for work. One concentrated on myself. I went on, or I made an effort. Because my mother arrived at my flat the next day. She was standing outside the building when I noticed her on my way home from work. Crossed arms and a tense face. I came to a halt. For a moment, my heart raced. I considered simply turning around and leaving. However, I was familiar with her. She would just keep coming back if I didn't take care of things right away. I unlocked the door, straightened my shoulders, and went silently past her. He went after Rachel. I didn't look back. You're not supposed to be here. Don't be too theatrical, please. She snorted and followed me into the building lobby. We must speak. I turned to her and sighed. No, we don't. Indeed, we do. Her voice was harsh as she demanded. You made us seem bad in front of the whole family. I should be given an explanation. I laughed without humor. Well, you're entitled to an explanation. She gave a nod. Indeed. I crossed my arms. I've previously described it. Simply put, you didn't like what I said. She clenched her jaw. Why you're acting this way is beyond me. We've always had your assistance. That was the issue. They had never once assisted me, and I had always assisted them. I inhaled deeply. Long ago, you showed me where I stood. I was sick, Mom. I was having trouble. You informed me that you were unable to provide assistance, then purchased a brand new vehicle for Adam. Her expression stiffened. He required it. I did not require life-saving therapy, and I clenched my fist. She opened her mouth a little, as though she had never thought of that before. Then she changed her face. I could tell what was about to happen when her stance altered. The journey of guilt. The true motive for her visit. There's nowhere else for me to go. Her voice was quieter now, as if I was meant to feel sorry for her. Rachel, your father and I are having a hard time. I gazed at her. I have no problem with it. She blinked. What? In order to prevent her from pretending she didn't hear me, I repeated slowly. I have no problem with it, she laughed. I am your mother, Rachel, and I was meant to have you. I lost my temper. But you abandoned me just when I needed you. She was aware that she was losing control of the conversation. Her tone became icy. That's it then? Are you simply ignoring your own parents? Without flinching, I looked her in the eye. No, Mother. The way you treated me is exactly how I'm treating you. Her nose wrinkled. This is something you will regret. No, comes certain final, I said. I won't. After that, I turned back and left. For a few seconds, she waited there, presumably waiting for me to change my mind and turn around. I didn't. After entering my flat, I took out my phone and dialed security when I heard her knock again a minute later. "Hello there, I have a trespasser outside my flat. I want them taken off." She vanished a few minutes later. I'd shut her down for the first time in my life, but I knew she wasn't finished. Because individuals like her don't stop when they lose control. They intensified their efforts, and I suspected she was going to go beyond. I thought it would stop when I called security on her, but it didn't. My phone kept ringing the next day. Unknown and blocked numbers. There were numbers I didn't recognize, but I knew exactly who they belonged to. I paid them all no attention. Then the messages began. "I'm shocked that you did that to me, Mom. Your mommy is me. You are a shame, Dad. Adam, we brought you up better than this. Whoa. In fact, you're crazy. You caused Mom to cry all night long. Mom. All right. You're unwilling to assist me. Simply state that. But when you need anything, don't come running back. Mom. Rachel, you're going to regret this." Weary, I gazed at my phone. She was blocked by me. I had interrupted them. I couldn't recall how many times I had told them. She couldn't let it go, though. She still thought she was in charge of me. I pretended not to care and placed my phone on quiet, but I knew deep down that this wasn't the end of it. And I was correct, since she arrived at my workplace the next day. My boss approached me in the midst of my shift and appeared uneasy. Carefully, she murmured, "Hey, Rachel, a woman at the front desk is requesting you. She claims to be your mother." I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. "She isn't here to see me, of course." Flatly, I replied. "Her purpose is to create a stir." My boss gave a nod. "Do you want me to take care of it?" I remained in the rear. As my boss went to deal with her, my heart was racing. From the front, I could hear voices that were muffled. "My mom is acting as devastated as she can. I simply cannot comprehend her motivation for doing this." Everyone could hear what she was saying. "She treats me this way because I reared her." My fist tightened. He was acting like the victim. All right. My boss came back a few minutes later and shook her head. She went out. I let out a sigh of relief. "Thank you." He looked at me. "Are you all right?" I gritted my teeth. "Yes. I'm simply fed up with this." She understood and nodded. "If she returns, let me know. If necessary, we will prohibit her from the premises." I received another message that evening. "I'm not sure why you're treating me this way, Mom. Your mommy is me. I'm worthy of better." I didn't respond. My phone rang the next morning. My landlord was the one. Carefully, he murmured, "Rachel, I just got a call from your mom." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Your lease was the subject of her inquiry. He stated she mentioned she was worried about your financial stability and needed to know when you were renewing." My breath came out sharply. "You probably didn't say anything to her." "Obviously not." "Oh," he said, "I simply wanted to let you know." I tightened my jaw. "Tell her nothing if she calls again. And contact the cops if she comes here." "I get it." My palms trembled with anger as I hung up. He was looking for knowledge and a means to get back into my life. And I was finished? I retrieved her contact information, unblocked her, and sent her one last message. "Never again call my landlord. Never again show up at my job. I will request a restraining order if you attempt to meddle in my affairs once again. Can you comprehend me?" I saw the transmission of the message. I then blocked her once more. Adam called a few minutes later. "Furious is what I heard. Don't waste your time defending her," he sneered. "Rachel, she's your mother. I am being harassed by her." He let out a sigh. "She is in a difficult situation. All she wants to do is make things right." I laughed resentfully. "Adam, no. My goal is to continue to be used by her." "You're exaggerating." "Oh, really?" "I don't recall her being frantic to make things right while I was ill and pleading for assistance. So I lost it. She didn't contact me every day while I was having trouble paying for therapy, as I recall. But now that I've interrupted her, she feels the need to make things right." He didn't say anything. "I'm not missed by her," I said icily. "My money is missed by her." More quiet. "You're making a mistake," he whispered. "No," I said. "I'm at last acting morally." I ended the call. And I didn't feel bad about it this time. Please share your opinions on this topic in the comments section below. Story 3. I thought my sister's wedding dress was her ideal gown, so I paid for it. I discovered the next day that she had covertly given it back in exchange for money. If I hadn't passed the store the next day, I wouldn't have even realized. While running errands on my day off, I saw the boutique's window display. This was the same store where Bella had spun around in front of the mirrors, grinning when she saw herself wearing the dress I had purchased for her. I smiled as I recalled how joyful she appeared. To pay for it, I had put in extra hours, foregone holidays, and saved every last cent. She insisted on praising it and claiming it was ideal. This is worth it, I thought. On a whim, I went inside even though I had no actual reason to. I was instantly recognized by the woman behind the counter who grinned. "Oh, you must be pleased that she has discovered her true passion," I said. She said. I initially assumed she was referring to the outfit we chose. I gave a nod. Yes, she was ecstatic about it. The woman paused. Correct. I just didn't know whether she had previously informed you. I had an odd sensation in my tummy. Told me what? She returned the outfit as soon as she got back this morning. She spoke slowly. She claimed there was an emergency, so we made an exception to our regular policy of not giving refunds. It didn't make sense, so for a moment I didn't react. The words lingered in the air, but my mind was unable to connect them. She gave it back. I pushed the words out as I asked, "Did she choose a different one?" The woman looked at me bewildered. No, she simply accepted the monetary reimbursement. I was dizzy. My sister shared on social media because she was so thrilled. She had taken photos. "It was the best gift ever," she exclaimed, giving me a hug. She simply accepted the money after that. My mouth was abruptly dry, so I swallowed. "Are you certain?" "Indeed." "I took care of the reimbursement myself," she replied. We felt awful when she mentioned unforeseen costs, so we ignored it. Before I turned and left the store, I don't even recall muttering a thank you. I took my phone out with trembling hands. Still attempting to persuade myself that there must be some reason, I clicked on Bella's profile. Then her most recent post caught my attention, a boomerang video of her grinning while enjoying a cocktail, captioned "Much needed getaway." My stomach turned over. Another post with a full-body photo in a bikini at a posh resort with the beautiful ocean behind her catches my attention. Then it dawned on me. She took a trip with the money. The money was ideal for a beach getaway, but the outfit I had worked so hard to purchase wasn't nice enough to retain. I was gasping for air as I stood still on the pavement, gazing at my computer. She hugged me as I paid for the dress, and I remembered that. Her eyes were watering. She referred to me as the world's best sister. Was she lying all along? Or did she suddenly decide against it? I gave her a call. She didn't answer. I sent an SMS. "You're where?" No answer. I made an effort to remind myself not to make snap judgments. Perhaps there was a reason. Perhaps she truly needed the money for anything other than a trip. My thoughts were racing. Was this all part of her plan? Returns were only accepted for store credit at the boutique. She must have made up a complete tale, though, since she claimed it was an emergency. My sister wasn't having financial difficulties. Although neither she nor her fiancé were wealthy, they both held respectable positions. Like everyone else, she could have saved money for a trip if she had desired one. She stole my money instead. I wanted to offer her something unique, so I used the money I made working weekends, taking on extra jobs and skipping events. I didn't even know where I was headed when I started to walk. All I felt was anger. Then I recalled the residence of our parents. Perhaps she was present. It wasn't very far, and with trembling hands, I knocked on the door before I had ever considered it. My mom was shocked when she opened it. "Rita, what's the matter? Is Bella present?" Trying to speak steadily, I asked. Mom scowled. "She's on vacation, no. Did she not inform you?" Something broke inside of me. "I purchased her a wedding dress, and she told me she liked it," I said, raising my voice. "It was her ideal outfit," she told me. The next day, she returned it in exchange for money. My mother's face hardly moved. "Oh, is that the purpose of this?" She sighed as she spoke. She did make reference to having second thoughts. She didn't reconsider. My voice trembled as I spoke. She grabbed the money and went on vacation with it. Mom regarded me with disapproval, as if I were exaggerating. "It's not a huge thing, Rita. She required a rest." What I was hearing was unbelievable. That outfit was paid for by me, I said, raising my voice. I put in extra hours. She merely skipped trips while I did, tossed it aside as if it had no significance. My mother gestured. She didn't discard it. She did something else with the money. Rita, it's her wedding. Right now, she has a lot on her plate. I had the feeling that something was falling apart inside of me. I had been trying my hardest to be the good sister for years. I was there for Bella whenever she needed assistance. Her rent was low. I talked about it. If she desired something that was beyond of her price range, I managed. And each time I reminded myself that this is what families do. However, this was no trivial matter. She was lying. She gave me a direct glance. She stole it for herself as if it were nothing after letting me waste my hard-earned money. My mother was suddenly behaving as though I was the one causing a commotion. I gave a trembling breath. She didn't require a respite. My voice was quiet as I said, I was the simplest method for her to receive the free money she needed. Mom folded her arms. Avoid being theatrical. Is it dramatic? I almost laughed when I heard the word. I gave her a glance. Then in my childhood home, where I was constantly reminded to help, share, and prioritize family. However, family was never the focus. Was it? It has to do with Bella. Bella had always been the focus. With my heart racing, I retreated a step. I'm finished. My voice became softer as I said. Mom looked at me incredulously. What are you saying? I took a swallow. I'm done being her personal bank, really. I'm tired of being exploited. She opened her lips to answer, but before I could hear her apology, I turned and left. My phone was buzzing as I climbed into my car. Bella texted. At last. Perhaps she wanted to express herself. I took it open. Hello, is it possible for you to cover my hair and nails for the wedding? I'll reimburse you later. A happy expression. For the first time in my life, I ignored her after staring at the message and clenching my fingers around my phone. I gripped the wheel so firmly that my knuckles hurt as I drove silently home. My thoughts kept going over everything that had just transpired, including the social media post and the reimbursement, and my heart was still pounding. My mother dismissed it as if it didn't exist. Then Bella texted me to ask for more. I wasn't shocked at all. The worst thing could have been that. After parking, I spent a considerable amount of time sitting in my car and gazing at my phone. As though ignoring it would cause it to vanish, the letter remained unread beyond that initial gaze. However, it remained. I felt deep down that this was more than just the dress, so the sinking sensation in my stomach didn't help either. It was about all the times Bella had exploited me. I had been advised to simply assist her or act like a larger person each time, but I had allowed it to happen. My mother's voice was already playing in my mind. It was the same thing she often said when Bella acted selfishly. She's simply like that. I had lived my entire life with that statement in mind. Belle received the new things when we were youngsters, while I received the hand-me-downs. Since I was older, I was supposed to comprehend when we were both given allowance. She spent hers right away, and when she was left with nothing, she sobbed to our parents. I was constantly encouraged to share, act like a good sister. My parents wanted me to buy Bella everything. When I started my first job at the age of 16, babysitting for neighbors. Rita, she's too young to work. Simply get her a small gift. She then insisted on getting a car when she turned 16. Our parents came to me since they couldn't afford to buy her one. You've been employed for years, Rita. Assisting her wouldn't be harmful. That time I said no. It was one of the few occasions I had ever denied, which is why I can still clearly recall it. Bella had cried and screamed throughout her rage, complaining that it was unjust. She's your sister, my mother remarked, looking me in the eye. Do you not want her to be content? As if it were my duty, as if I were the self-centered one. Our parents took out a loan, so Bella ultimately got the automobile. When they had trouble making the payments, you know who helped? It was always that way. Bella spent. It was my responsibility to pick up the pieces after Bella made errors. Before beginning my first full-time job after college, I wanted to go on a trip with my pals. I was ecstatic since I had planned for it and saved for it. Then, for the first time, Bella made the decision to move out. He gave her a wonderful flat that she couldn't really afford, and it was far too pricey. She complained to our parents instead of finding anything that fit her budget, so they resorted to me. All she needs is a little assistance getting settled. Next year, you can go on your trip. The following year never arrived since something else happened the year after, and the year after that, and so on. After a while, I just stopped considering trips. And it wasn't just money. I was supposed to drop everything to aid Bella whenever she got into difficulties. The time she required tutoring after failing a college course. Twice a week, after my own work hours, I had to drive to her university. When she and her flatmate got into a quarrel, I let her stay at my house for months while she worked things out and paid all the additional costs without complaining. And each and every time I became irritated, I even made a suggestion that I was sick of prioritizing her. The same thing was said by my mother. She's simply like that. As though Bella's selfishness was an unavoidable aspect of life, similar to the climate. Something I simply had to come to terms with, and I did. I believed it was what family did, therefore I had accepted it for years. However, as I sit in my car and look at my phone, I at last get the courage to ask the question I had never dared to ask before. Why? Why was it my responsibility to ensure Bella never had to deal with the consequences? Why was I always the one? Why did she live freely while I had to make sacrifices, spending carelessly, traveling, enjoying myself? What made me the villain? I shakily exhaled and put my phone face down, reluctant to look at her messages any longer. The moment I dared to doubt it, I didn't feel bad for neglecting her for the first time in my life. I entered my flat, but I was unable to relax. My mind would not quit. I didn't even know what I was searching for when I took out my laptop. I got my bank statements out. I'm not sure why I hadn't done it previously. I might not have wanted to watch it. However, I began to add things up. Everything Bella has ever received from me. Pay the rent. Help out payments for cars, bills, shopping, jot sweets. When she desired something but was unwilling to pay for it herself, I had assisted with wedding deposits. The bridal gown comes next, of course. My breath caught in my throat as I gazed at the last number. It exceeded the amount I had saved. I was ill. I believed I was responsible since I had been so cautious with my money. I thought I was being clever. However, I had let hundreds to elude me. For her, she still desired more though. I closed the laptop and I told myself something I had been denying for years for the first time. I loved Bella more than she loved me. Not at all. Because there was no one being used by love. Love wasn't a giving and taking relationship. Furthermore, love wasn't thoughtlessly discarding someone else's labor and then demanding more. The next day, I realized that I had lived my entire life thinking Bella would be grateful if I simply contributed enough. However, she would never, as she was never had to. I had worked for years to ensure that she never suffered the repercussions of her behavior. Perhaps that's why she returned the outfit without hesitation. She believed that I would always be there to make things right. Now, however, I wasn't so sure now. I discovered additional texts from Bella and missed calls when I woke up the next morning. I didn't even check them the first time. I was fully aware of what they would say. Hey, can you assist me with this or anything similar? Or Rita, I must have, constantly in need, always taking. However, I wasn't in the mood to be guilty about anything this time. After getting up and making myself some coffee, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at my phone as if it were a test. I wasn't going to feel it for once. At last, I opened the mails. Bella, you phoned, I saw. What is going on? My call the previous day had gone unanswered by her. Can you assist me with the cost of my hair and makeup trial, Bella? It costs more than I anticipated. Bella, Rita. Then Bella an hour later. Are you really not paying attention to me? Then there was a missed call. Then there was another message. Why are you acting this way, Bella? I inhaled deeply. Then I typed precisely what I was thinking for the first time in my life. Me? Bella, I am not paying for anything else. That clothing is the result of a lot of labor, and you used it to pay for your trip. I'm finished. The message was sent. Setting my phone aside, I waited. The dots appeared in less than 1 minute. Bella, are you really upset about that, OMG? I tightened my jaw. I simply had second thoughts about the dress. Bella, I didn't really throw away the money. You took it on a journey. Me. Bella, what the heck? It's my wedding and I needed the vacation. I should have the freedom to choose what matters to me. I gazed at the text. the blatant sense of entitlement. Not a trace of guilt was present. I pushed myself not to explain and drew a trembling breath, not to defend my emotions. Me? You didn't have that money to spend. I won't give you any more either. Quiet. And then there was another missed call. Then there was another message. Bella, whoa. It's unbelievable that you're behaving in this way over a ridiculous garment. At that point, I felt certain that I was making the proper choice. After setting my phone to quiet, I prepared for the day. My mother called a few hours later. I considered ignoring it, but decided to pick it up as I assumed she would simply keep trying. She let out a huge sigh without even saying hello. What's going on between Bella and you, Rita? Already tired, I closed my eyes. Even though she is quite distressed, she is fully aware of what is happening. Excellent. Flatly, I replied. Mom let out a gasp as if I had just broken the law. Rita? Is that your sister? She claims that you are not going to assist her with the wedding at this time. Is that accurate? It nearly made me chuckle, refusing to assist. I have got her address, Mom, but she used the money to buy herself something else. I've accomplished enough. I just changed my mind, she said. Then, before collecting my money, she ought to have informed me. I lost my temper. She told a falsehood. She gave me a direct glance and gave me the impression that I was doing her a favor. Instead, she took the money and rushed to the beach. On the other end, there was stillness. Then my mom sighed once again. You are aware of her personality, the phrase. That terrible, angry sentence. My hands began to tighten into fists. Mom, you know what? I no longer give a damn. I spoke firmly. Steady. I'm not her. I will no longer prioritize her above myself. I'm finished. Like a toddler having a tantrum, my mother snapped her tongue. So you're just going to discipline her for a single infraction? I gave a harsh chuckle. One error. Do you hear yourself, Mom? This is what she has done throughout her life. You also consistently stand up for her. She's your sister, she reiterated as if that would explain everything. Then perhaps she ought to begin behaving as such. Quiet. Then a voice that was considerably colder. Don't expect her to assist you in times of need if you don't assist her. My breath nearly caught in my throat. Assist me. When was the last time Bella assisted me? Then I discovered that my mother genuinely thought Bella had been the victim in this case. As if it were cruel of me to not give her more money. As if Bella were the victim of abuse. Something clicked into place inside of me. This would never be different. My parents would always stand up for Bella, regardless of what she did or how much I contributed. It would never be sufficient, but I was no longer required to comply. I let out a slow breath. Mom, I hope she has a wonderful wedding, but I won't be footing the bill. I then hung up. My chest felt lighter, yet my hands were trembling. I had established a boundary for the first time in years, and for the next 3 weeks, I wasn't going to back down. Bella continued to pretend that nothing had occurred. She texted casually. In memes, he tags me. She then changed her strategy and tried to blame me. Bella, I wish you would quit being so angry. Right now, I need my big sister. I didn't answer. Then the rage came back. Bella, whoa. Is it true that you don't give a damn about me? I haven't replied yet. Then he completely gave up trying. My parents also stopped making calls. Even though they didn't like me, I decided to stop trying to win their acceptance. I had dedicated my life to demonstrating my love for Bella. However, love isn't exploiting someone. Love doesn't involve manipulation or unappreciative demands for sacrifice. I wasn't going to feel terrible about finally selecting myself, and I wasn't the bad guy for saying no. I was surprised at how long the stillness lasted. Bella didn't text me again for weeks. Neither did my parents call. At first, it seemed odd, like waiting for a storm that never materialized. I'm not going to lie. I came very close to reaching out at times. I had spent so many years acting like the responsible sister, the one who made things right, not because I felt bad. The person who cleaned up the mess. However, I told myself that I wasn't the one who created the mess, and I wasn't going to clean it up this time. My cousin Lena then contacted me around a month before to the wedding. She abruptly phoned me, her voice low as if she were going to reveal some great secret. Is it true that you are no longer assisting with the wedding? She inquired. I reclined on my sofa. Where did you hear that? Your mother, she said. She has been telling everyone that Bella is being punished by you because of a trivial miscommunication. I squeezed the bridge of my nose and sighed. I'm not punishing her, of course. I just decided I'm not going to be used anymore, I said. Lena was silent for a while. Then she laughed a bit. To be honest, well done. I was surprised by it. I acknowledged that you were the first to mention that. She responded, Oh, trust me. It's not only you who thinks it. Bella, there's always been a while. Your parents' constant justifications for her just keep people silent. I was torn between feeling annoyed and validated. What's happening then? I inquired. You're phoning, but why? Lena said, I thought you'd want to know, after hesitating. Something is going wrong with Bella's wedding. I blinked. What are you saying? Well, Lena remarked, and her laughter was almost audible to me. It turns out that there isn't much money left over for the wedding itself when all of your wedding funds are used for a trip. I straightened my posture. Everything had to be downgraded by her. Lena went on. Instead of using the elegant location she reserved, she is holding it at a random banquet hall. Due to her late payments, half of the suppliers left. And the new clothing, too. It appears to be off the rack in a department shop. A gradual, uncanny sensation descended upon me. It didn't exactly make me happy, but it also didn't make me sad. Bella was, for once, dealing with the inevitable fallout from her own behavior, and I was unable to stop it. Lena's voice became softer. What's the best part? The dress refund was discovered by her fiancé. Lena remarked. I stalled how she slipped up. Joked that she had at least gained something pleasant from the trip. I let out a harsh sigh, and Lena said, That sounds just like Bella, and he's angry. I'm like, extremely angry. It seems that he believed the clothing held sentimental value for her. She became defensive when he questioned why she hadn't at least told him about it. You are aware of Bella's personality. She is unable to acknowledge her mistakes. I gave myself a nod. Yes, that seemed rather accurate. Lena said, She tried to spin it like you were overreacting. However, as soon as he learned that you had paid for it and that she had stolen the money, he fled to the beach. He lost it. I arched an eyebrow. Is he still getting married to her? Lena let out a sigh. I'm not sure, but it seems like they're arguing often these days, and your mom is trying to hide it because she feels ashamed. I truly paused at it. My mother felt ashamed. I had always been assured that Bella was innocent, that she was simply reckless or impetuous, or that she required more assistance. However, now that others were observing her behavior, it was clear what it was. My mother was taking her time defending her, perhaps because she finally understood what I had known all along. Bella was not a slacker. She acted carelessly. She didn't act on impulse. She was self-centered. She also didn't require assistance. She anticipated it. She was now experiencing what life was like when she had to deal with the repercussions on her own. Now that no one was coming to her aid to make things right. Will you attend the wedding? Lena inquired. I considered it. Even though I hadn't RSVP'd yet, I knew the answer. No, I answered plainly. Lena blew a whistle. You're truly done, I thought, grinning a bit. I acknowledged that it was true and answered, yes I am. According to what I've heard, the wedding was a complete failure. Not in an explosive, dramatic manner. It's just disappointing. Bella's dream of a glamorous, magazine-worthy wedding never came to pass. The extravagant decor she spoke about, the fairy tale setting, and the designer outfit were all taken away from her. At least not yet. Her fiancé remained with her. However, some said that they didn't talk much at the reception. He appeared Bella, tight and unhappy. In other words, she received precisely what she paid for, or more precisely, what she failed to pay for. The murmurs began at once. I assumed she had a reservation at this large, upscale location. Why does the food appear so inexpensive? Rita purchased her outfit, didn't she? How did it end up? It found out that people notice when things abruptly go apart because you had centered your entire identity around making everything appear flawless. And I wasn't left frantically trying to repair things for once. Bella sent me one final text after the wedding. Bella, it's unbelievable that you didn't arrive. You truly don't give a damn about me, do you? I spent a lot of time looking at the message. Then I answered at last, Me? I stopped allowing you to take advantage of me because I cared about you. That type of love simply doesn't appeal to you. I sent it. She didn't respond. Perhaps she finally understood what I meant. Perhaps she was simply too preoccupied with cleaning up the mess she had created. In any case, it was no longer my issue, and I felt utterly, blissfully free for the first time in my life.